Hey, Jonathan Sellers with Spark Outbound here. Today I wanted to discuss some B2B lead gen strategies and specifically the importance of using a multi-platform approach with your B2B lead gen efforts. So many people come to us and ask, which platform should we use? Should we use Google Ads? Should we use Facebook ads? Should we be putting all our effort into LinkedIn? Hiring sales teams? All those things are actually great, and I'm going to argue today that you should be including at least multiple of those, if not several or all of those options into your B2B lead gen efforts. And so I want to kind of highlight a couple things that really we come across with any B2B lead gen campaign, and some issues that will, if you can prevent these issues from happening, or you address these issues ahead of time, you're going to put yourself into a lot better situation at the end of the day. And so when you're looking at one platform or the other, there are several risks that you're taking when you just use that platform. And so today I'm going to explain why you should, when you're starting, not that you have to create this huge big effort, the equal effort as if you were traditionally looking at one platform, and you have to, if you're going to do on 4 platforms, you have to put in 4 times the resources. I think you can be much smarter and use each platform for what it's best for to fit your needs, but just being in the different places and using the different tactics will really help you in the long run. And so reason number 1 is the buyer's journey. So each person, so when somebody is potentially needing your service or your product, your platform, whatever it may be, not everybody is in the same spot at the same time, and not everybody who finds you or becomes aware of you is in the same spot when they do so. And so just getting started, a lot of people will say, well, we want the people who are ready to buy now, and that's good. The problem is that's a much more, I would consider, risky strategy to only focus on the people who you're going to close now. If you have a huge market of people ready to close now, maybe that works for you. But for a lot of, especially B2B service providers, you really have to take into account the market capacity, the market awareness, and the competition. And so just to understand that if there are people who continuously will need your service or your product, you should try to start influencing as many of those people along their journey and the buyer's journey would be, they don't know they need you, they become aware that they might need something like what you do, they start looking for options, then they start considering which option might be the best for them, and then eventually they make an option to work with a company or buy a product or engage with your service. And so you really want to take into account, how can you start influencing more of those people from the beginning? And a lot of people that might be scary to a lot of people, like, oh, that's a much bigger task. And it's like, once again, like I said in the beginning, it's not that you have to put all your efforts there or equal efforts there, but you should be putting some efforts there, because some of those people may go through that buyer's journey very quickly. Somebody may, for instance, they go to a networking meeting, somebody mentions, this is a service that I have started working with. That person may, in 2 or 3 days, do the research and say, yes, this is absolutely what I need for my business. On the other side of that is there's people who are going to find out that your line of service, or your type of company exists, and then it's going to be 2 or 3 years before. But at least you should be in that space. And so, how do you do that? Creating content, so you have content out there, and then distributing that content on social networks. LinkedIn's a great place to start because you can do so for free. So if you're creating the content, you can grow connections with your target prospects, and you can post and comment. And so that takes time, but it doesn't necessarily take a budget. So that's a good place to start for planting those seeds with people who may not be aware that you exist or that you could help them. Another big thing, so kind of step 2 in this logic, is consumer preferences. So even though we're B2B, we're still reaching consumers. Everybody that we are trying to sell, whether it be the owner of a company, management in a company, they're individuals who have consumer preferences. And what that means is they want to consume information in different ways. Maybe they want to, maybe they prefer video, for example. Maybe they like to read blogs. Some people hate videos. Some people do not want to watch your videos, they want to read it. I tend to be that way. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, but also with news articles and stuff like that, I would rather just read it than have to listen to the news commentary. So that's something to keep in mind when creating content, is you want to create content in different formats, if at all possible. Once again, not that you have to hire, you have to hire a Hollywood production studio to shoot videos for you, but just something in that format where people have the option. The other big thing with consumer preferences is people are platform loyal. So some people love Facebook, some people love LinkedIn, some people hate Facebook, some people hate LinkedIn. Some people are going to search, their go-to for finding information is searching Google. Some people, they're going to go and they're going to try to attack it from a different way. They want to, they're going to go to maybe social networks and seek out that information. So that's where the multi-platform approach in general comes from, because some people, we hear this a lot, like people, especially B2B companies, say my clients are not on Facebook. Well, almost everyone is on Facebook. A huge percentage of people are on Facebook in some level. So I would say it's hard to argue, and that's even up to senior citizens are in huge numbers on Facebook. So it's hard to really see a demographic that specifically is anti-Facebook, and so they don't necessarily go on Facebook to look for business service providers, but that also does not mean that you could not reach them using Facebook ads with your message. And so you have to just keep in mind, although some of your, LinkedIn might be better, so there might be a huge percentage of your prospects on LinkedIn, but some of them are not on LinkedIn. So you're going to have to find those. If you're posting only on LinkedIn, you will never find those people who are not on LinkedIn. It's impossible. So you have to look at other options. Number 3 is competition and noise. So we live in a world right now where there's a lot of digital content. There's a lot of people posting out there. A lot of your competitors are posting out there. Some are not. So kind of piggybacking on the consumer preferences, people, wherever they're going, they're engaging with a lot of content. So in some platforms, because of those consumer preferences, you may not be able to really get the attention of your target prospect. Whereas if you're also on another platform, that exact same person who's on both platforms will be more visually receptive, or will just be more aware of your content. Whereas before, they may have overlooked it because of how they use the other platform. So these are just things where when you're looking at this world of all this content, people going to Google, with all the content in general, it's harder to rank on Google. So if you're just posting blogs and you're thinking we're going to show up at the top of Google rankings eventually, that may be the case, but also it's becoming much more difficult. Google makes it more difficult in general for any rankings to drive traffic to websites, because they more and more are showing the information. So people search something and then they're showing snippets of information that show the answer, and you don't even have to click to a website. So you have to diversify to be in these different places. So value-based is the 4th point here. And so what value-based means from this perspective is, if you are using multiple platforms and if you're using a layered approach. So when I say layered approach, I mean, so say you are running Google ads for very specific keywords related to your service. and so people are clicking, coming to your site. A small percentage of those people, usually 2 to 3%, if you know, and it could be higher, but typically 2 to 3% at a good performing campaign, are going to contact you. So they're going to fill out a form, or they're going to call you right now and say, we want to talk to you. So that means 95, 97, 98% of your people that you're paying for those clicks. So it could be less than $1, but typically it's going to be more than $1, maybe $1 to $4. Some industries it could be $20, $30 a click. Could be $50, $100 a click on certain keywords. You're paying every time they click, and 98% of those people are not engaging with you. So you can use retargeting on Google, and so you can show up on different websites. So your display ads, and you can also do search retargeting, and so you can show back up to those same people. And so I guess that could be also considered somewhat of a multi-platform approach, even though it's still on Google Ads. But maybe a better approach would be to reach those people in other places where we already discussed. We already know, for instance, that a huge percentage of people are on Facebook. So what if you were showing ideally like a video ad explaining more about your service, or explaining more about your company in more detail to people on Facebook. So now they've searched out your whatever your service or your product is specifically. They saw your ad. Your ad was compelling enough for them to come to your site to begin with. And so now you're able to drive that message home on Facebook, another platform, where they are there to absorb content. And so video content stands out. Also, if you have catchy imagery, just depending on what you do, it may work either way. But now you're re-engaging them there. And so the reason why video is good is because they can really kind of get your story without having to necessarily go back to your site. So they absorb it, and then if they're really captivated, then they go back to your site. If it's an image-based ad, they essentially have to like the image a lot and come back to your site. So the video gets you this value there on the platform where they want to be on at that time. So that's why I say value-based. Also, as when you're looking at incorporating things like email marketing or social media outreach, same kind of thing. So maybe you're sharing content on your email outreach or your social outreach, or sharing valuable content with your prospects, especially LinkedIn. You know who they are and what roles they're in, and so you're driving them to your website or to one of your properties with hosting the content, and then theoretically, boom, hit them right back on Facebook. And you just want to further the message. So you don't want to show them the same thing again, but you want to say, and now here's the next step with that. And you can, with Facebook ads, you can build out many different ads that are building this story, essentially. And so then the fifth one, I think number 1 and probably number 5 might be the most important too. And so I've witnessed this throughout my career. This has been an issue for companies I've worked for, with projects I've worked on personally. This has really come to, it's a reality. So this is something, if you're out here and you're saying, I'm going to run Facebook ads and that's all I'm going to do. Well, we all know right now, as we're posting this in mid-2019, that Facebook ads has a lot of issues right now. Facebook has a lot of issues right now. They're dealing with all these privacy things. People are calling for them to split up their the different platforms and different pieces of the company that they own, and it's only going to continue. The privacy thing is only going to continue. So what's going to happen if Facebook has major problems and then they change the way their ad platform works? They've already, for instance, changed the way business pages work. They wanted every business to be on Facebook and get likes, advertise us to all your customers, and when they like your page, then you can show them your content and you'll grow your business with us, until we decide, oh yeah, actually, thanks for all the free advertisement, thanks for growing our network, thanks for making everybody think that they need Facebook to function. And now businesses, if you want to reach those same people that you put in all that effort for, you're going to have to advertise to them. So it's pretty logical to think that there's another step to that. Something else is going to happen, it's going to change. It's either going to become crazy expensive to advertise, because in the beginning, even another step further, it used to be typically bigger businesses were the only ones who were advertising. And then Facebook made a massive drive to get small businesses advertising on Facebook. So it's an evolving process. They're a company, they're trying to make a profit. And so if you're Facebook ads dependent, and that changes, so your ability to get the leads that you're getting now changes, what will you do? If you have not built any other system put any other system in place, you're essentially going to be starting over. So you're going to come to a crashing halt, start over. And that's a worst case scenario. It's more likely to be gradual. With any platform, it's more likely to be gradual. But in the past, I have, SEO, for instance. When Google Penguin and Panda came out, I was working at a company that was doing a link building service. And so link building was great. It was a great business. The company was making great money. It had grown substantially within a short period of time. And Google says, hey, we are seeing that there's a lot of links that are disingenuous. This is messing up the internet. It's manipulating our search algorithms, and it's putting sites that should not be ranking. It's making them rank higher because they're just paying for links. And so they slapped it down. And so what happened is companies who had spent maybe millions of dollars, but for sure tens of thousands of dollars on building this platform, and they're getting all these customers and getting all this traffic for their keywords, they went overnight from that to nothing. And so they had nothing to show for it. And not only did they just lose everything, but because of what they were doing, they had massive amounts of work to do just to recover from that. So just understand, what I'm saying by platform independence is when you use a multi-platform approach, you are independent from any platform. You are not relying on any one platform for your success. So things that we encourage, so what does a multi-platform approach look like? What we would encourage is using things like email marketing, so email outreach. So essentially it could also be called cold emailing. And so what this is you are reaching out to people directly who are your target prospects, and you are the way we approach it is not just pitching them, but you're building a relationship with them via email. You're trying to share value with them, and make them eventually over time feel like you're a credible, valuable resource that could help them out with whatever it is that you do. Similar thing on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, you have the ability to find your target prospects, knowing exactly what they do, and so you can build those relationships there. You can also post content there, which is I guess kind of a longer term, more way to show your value, is because you're literally demonstrating it there. So all this content you're producing for blog posts, videos, YouTube, whatever it is, you should be posting it there. In addition to that, you should be looking at least some level on Google Ads, because people are searching for what you do. They're showing intent that they want to purchase or they need your help. So it's critical. We suggest if you don't want to go, you can go bigger and get a large share, then you can start educating people at all parts of the buyer's journey. But if you don't have that type of budget, you should be at least spending a couple, $150, $300 a month, just making sure that you show up for the exact couple phrases, 2 or 3 phrases that people would be searching if they're really looking for you. And that takes a little time to do the research, but it's definitely worth it, because you can drive leads for a small amounts of money. Facebook ads, Instagram ads. So the same logic. People may not be looking for business services on those platforms when they log in, when they go into the app, but they are there and they're real people who work in these roles that you're trying to reach. So those are the primary kind of the wheel of where we would recommend B2B businesses focus. And there's tons of other opportunities out there, but those are kind of major areas where you have the ability to either do work to achieve it, partner with a company that can help you put a system in place for some of those things. There's like for us, we can help manage all of those things for companies, but there's definitely companies that can manage certain pieces. You can manage certain pieces. It just depends on how your resources are looking, your budget looks, like your time allocation looks. Sometimes it's, as you start to get more successful, it's definitely worth it to not spend the time yourself if you're a key member of your company and you have a lot of other responsibilities, because you want to be consistent on this as well. So you want to keep these things going. And then the last thing I would say is test. So when you're coming into multiple platforms and you're trying to figure out like where can you find the value within these different, how can you overcome these challenges, or how can you, make your efforts work better for you, and keeping these things in mind is just tests. So do small tests. So if you're finding success on Facebook ads now, don't, like I said before, double your budget and go into Google ads. If you've never been in Google ads before, take a fraction and run tests in Google ads. I suggest being very specific with the keywords that you're targeting. Don't drop everything and say we're going to start doing LinkedIn outreach or email outreach. Start running small tests. Maybe even before you, like especially LinkedIn, just send 10 messages a day. Cold email, same thing. You don't have to invest in a platform first. You got to figure out what you're going to say to people. Like, why would people want your email? They get a lot of emails a day. Why would they want to see your email? What's going to be valuable for them? So you really have to just kind of keep all these things in mind. And if you build this out, once you build out a model that addresses these 5 components, you're going to be more secure moving into the future with your business. You're going to be able to expand this because now you have these things kind of in place. You work out your budget, and you're able to find something that's comfortable where you're generating leads from multiple sources, and it's scalable. So if at a point you realize, like, hey, we've refined our messaging, people are responding at a higher rate, then you can very easily spend more. So especially with the ads, typically, as long as more people on Google are searching, you could spend more and find more of those people. As long as you're driving more people to your site from all these different sources, and you're not reaching everyone that you're driving on Facebook, you could spend a little more on Facebook and you could reach those people. You can use lookalike audiences and reach a whole new audience that Facebook says looks like the same type of people you're reaching. So this is what we would consider a secure strategy. And so those platforms we discussed, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Google, this is where you need to be at least dabbling in these places, and that's how you build a sustainable, scalable, secure B2B lead gen program. If you have any comments or questions, put them down in the bottom of here, and I'll be happy to answer them. See you soon.